We're over here on the north side of the house, and these are the condensing units. And these are twins. They're identical. They are both too close to the wall. They're both crooked. They both have dirty coils. They're both 21 years old. Now this equipment is engineered on paper to last 20 years. It might last 35. But Las Vegas is going to give you 14. That's about how long they last in North Texas. About 14 years. So these guys have already delivered just about everything you could expect them to deliver. Everything that would be fair to ask them to deliver. Now if they go for 30 years, that's good. That's good. Nobody's going to complain about that. I had one that went for 30 years. I didn't get all 30 years. I got the last 3 years. That's another story. Not only are these guys near the end of their, or at the end of their life expectancy, they're both R22. R22. So they're about 10 sears, maybe 12. You have R22 refrigerant in these. They don't manufacture R22 in the United States any longer. They don't import it. They can't. But there are stockpiles. Yes, you can get more R22. You can get somebody to juice these babies up. But it's going to cost you. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. And yes, they do have drop-ins. They've got drop-ins that'll come in. But the drop-in refrigerants are substitutes. They're not even as efficient. They're 10 to 30% less efficient than these old inefficient units are anyway. Currently we're running about 14.5 for an economy sear. These maybe are 12. So something to think about. They've exceeded their economic lives. That was the words I was reaching for. These are the electric service disconnects. These should be sealed where they're attached to the wall so that water doesn't get in them. The long guys are here. Yay! Don't have to talk over the air conditioner anymore. They are blowing heat. I can feel heat. They're moving it. It's called moving heat. R22. This is the long guy. Okay, this is the water heater temperature pressure relief valve drain line. They're not supposed to discharge farther away from the ground than 6 inches. So this is too high. Between 3 and 6 is where they're supposed to go. This is where the gas enters the house. This is the main gas shutoff valve right here. And it's okay for it to be that kind of a valve for the main. I don't know why. Everybody has different ideas about the water, but there it is. And this is your gas meter. Right out there about... There's your gas meter. We're on the north side of the house. This is the electric meter on the north side of the garage, and it should be sealed as well. And since the house has moved, the conduit here, we got a big gap in the conduit, so that needs to be extended and put back up so that water doesn't get in there. This is the grounding rod, which we only have one, which is what they did back then. Okay, today, and it's not, this house wasn't built today, but we'd have 2 grounding rods. But that grounding rod, they're 8 feet long. And it's supposed to be driven. You're supposed to have 8 feet connections into the ground. And obviously, we didn't quite make it. Got a little separation here. I don't think if that's in the other video. So, coming along. This is the garage overhead door. It's a metal panel door. The courtesy lights work. Got a pull handle. The optic sensors are not supposed to be farther from the ground, farther from the floor than 6 inches, so kids can get in there. So kids can't get in there. And cats. You don't want to squash a cat either. Some people like the cats. I like mine. Okay, we got spring tension stick notices on both corners, as they're supposed to be. Now these are pretty unique little stickers because they also have the warning labels. So you don't have to put a warning label in the middle somewhere, because you have warning labels with your spring tension. That's ingenious. We've got pull handle inside, which we're supposed to. And speaking of that sticker, it should be on this control switch. We should have that sticker right here. And then this control switch should not be closer to the threshold than 5 feet. Keeps little hands from getting up there and pushing on it. These control wires have been fastened with non-insulated staples. Insulated staples should have been used. And what we have here is called popcorn texture. And there are some instances, and I don't believe there's any inside, just the garage, but there are some instances, it's not uncommon, asbestos might be in this. So you want to treat it as such. You want to treat it as if it did have asbestos, which means you can encapsulate it, you can paint it. But if you scrape it off, you need to be careful about that. It looks like we have a water stain right here. See that? I don't know what that's about. We'll get the infrared out here and check it to make sure that it's dry. But we've definitely had a water event in this part of the garage. This door, we're not going inside. Okay? But this door should have a self-closing spring on it. And the gasket's torn. Threshold gasket right there, see that? See, if I was a fire, I could just walk into the house. So this door's supposed to close, and the fire can't come in. That's what it's supposed to be about. Just move around. This is the electric service panel. Every receptacle, every circuit breaker in here, the largest circuit breaker we have is 30 amps. Oh, that's 50 amps, that's for the oven. 30, 30, 30. Okay. These are marked as being for the air conditioning unit. That's hand labeled, by the way, hand printed. It's supposed to be printed like that. So 30 amps and 30 amps for each of the air conditioning units. They take a minimum of 40, a maximum of 45. These air conditioning units are underfused, which means you could get nuisance trips. I haven't tripped yet. I've got that thing cooking right now, both of them. So sounds like a war. Sorry about that. Jeez. Louise. Alright. So, the air conditioning units are underfused. Panel's not properly labeled. It was properly fastened. We don't have any unusual gaps. It's nailed into place. It's all good things, good things. Now this big hole right here is where L1 and L2 come in. We have big knockouts because we didn't know where it was going to be. This panel's universal. We have all these smaller holes because you're only supposed to bring 2 cables in at a time. Only 2 at a time, together. It's called the skin effect. It develops heat. They just knocked out a big one, brought it all in. That's called bundling. And bundling is very common. I'm not discounting my work. It's not right. But I would say that existing stock, new construction is a little different, but existing stock are in this part of the country, in this part of Dallas, in this part of Texas, we're running, between 85 and 90% of them are bundled. If everybody jumped off a bridge, would you? But You know, it's just going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to change that too, by the way. Cost benefit analysis. It's again, there's only two reasons for codes, and that is money and lobbying. I mean, that is safety and structural integrity. But there's your bundling. Something weird happened here. I have never seen this before. It looks to me like the electric cables were laying out in the cement. It's hard. They were laying out in the cement when the house was being built. And then they came in and... Isn't that weird? So usually I would say the neutral has not been wrapped with white tape. But they're all white now. So you cannot differentiate. If you do not know that's the main neutral, you don't belong in this box. I get that. But, you know, the code says you're supposed to mark it as being neutral so that it can be differentiated. So there you go. If this home was built this morning, again, if this home was built this morning, there'd be little rubber, little plastic covers on tops of those nuts to keep you from touching them and getting shocked. If you do not know that those are super, super hot, again, you don't belong in this panel. But you don't have the rubber booties. It's a safety device. Even though it wasn't required when the home was built, it's a safety device. So then it makes the report. Down here, see those white wires doubled? One screw holding two wires, one screw holding two wires. You can do that with your grounds. You can do that with your grounds, but not your neutrals. Because your neutrals, you know, the grounds only carry current in an emergency. But your neutrals carry current consistently. So those should not be double lugged. Some people call them double tapped. Call it what you will, but they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. And, you know, we shouldn't have paint, by the way. We shouldn't have paint inside the cabinet. And then we have white hots. And again, this is to your air conditioning units. And again, if you do not know that those white wires are hot, you don't belong in the box. But they're supposed to be wrapped with black tape. That's supposed to be wrapped with white tape. You're not supposed to be bundling. You're not supposed to be double lugging. You're not supposed to have paint inside of it. It's just some things. Just some things. Oh, and we got a single ground. Single ground. All right. This is the lawn sprinkler. We do have our zones. The zones are labeled. We have instructions. It's not a difficult machine, by the way. You just push the button down. And we will. We're going to run it. But it doesn't have a care and use manual. Good luck finding one. You can find one online. But as old as this box is it even working? Did I trip the GFCI again? Okay. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Are they done? All right. This is the water heater. Remember the water heater temperature pressure relief valve is got too high. It also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has more than 5 90-degree bends. More than 5 90-degree bends. So that's a kind of an interesting thimble that they put up there. It's a thimble nonetheless, but it's a thimble. This is supposed to be insulated. This TMP drain. Let's get up here a little bit. Inquiring minds. You shouldn't have tape on your flue. You shouldn't have tape on your flue. And I'm not seeing dielectric unions to keep it from rotting. And look at there, you know, we got some corrosion going. So they shouldn't have tape. There's your bonding. See that wire right there? That's your bonding for your electrical system. So we got that. It wasn't labeled in the panel. And we got mouse dookie. Got some mouse dookie too. What do we have here? No care and use manual. No safety pan. 2004. Water heaters last about 10 years. 10 years is how long they last. 40 gallons. I bet you don't have 40 gallons in there now. 2014, you should have been thinking about replacing this guy. It's had a nice long life, just like the air conditioning systems. They have this insulated. This is not supposed to be insulated. I mean, you guess you can. If I put that up there, and then I don't have to do some writing. That's where it goes, like that. Just in case you replace it. Alright, we do not have a sediment trap coming to the water heater. No sediment trap to catch impurities. And this gray connector, they've been outlawed since about 2004. It probably wasn't even legal then. It's probably from the old water heater. So you have electronic ignition, no safety pan, dangerous connector, no drip tube, corrosion, no dielectric unions, questionable thimble, tape on your flue that is insulated. So let's just go on up. If there's a light up here, we'll do it. They seem like pretty handy people. Oh dear. Don't tell me they did that. And they did. Alright, I'm not surprised. What I'm talking about is, I mean, the hearts are in the right place. This is good stuff. Nobody installs it correctly. But we got radiant panels in there. The stairs are not cut properly. See the line where they're supposed to have been cut? They never finished the job. Alright, hey y'all, watch this. Coming on up. So most of the attic is got a radiant barrier. We'll see what the other attic looks like with the radiant barrier, but what happens here is that radiant barrier, where you should have soffit baffles, and I bet they don't at the edge of the house, would direct the air up so that it comes out of here, but this actually prohibits the air from coming into here. When I say into here, I mean that you want to ventilate the whole attic. That light doesn't work. And it's OSB, oriented strand board. Those are called collar beams. Light doesn't work. Added a little insulation here. How about that? How far did it go? All over? Okay. And what do we got over there? What do we got over there? Let's look. That's called a floating junction box. Let's see. Floating junction box. Right there. Oh, you can't see. It's not collecting it. I will. What's that? That's the vent. That's the vent for the, and that's a connector. That's the vent for the fan and the laundry. Oh, how sweet. Okay. Alright, that's what we got.